So anytime we're working with variables, we really have two things. We have the variable, the container, the bucket, and we have the different values that we're going to put in it from moment to moment. Now, the most common kind of values in computer programs are numeric values, numbers. And really, this is no surprise. Sure, these days, when we use the word computer, we think of a machine. But for hundreds of years, computer was a job. In the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries, you could be employed as a computer. It just meant a person who computes, someone who does calculations. And then these machines come along, and they do it far better than the person ever could. And these days we think computer means hardware. But the reason they were invented was always about number crunching. But we need to be comfortable with our use of numbers. When we're writing programs, we're dealing with bank balances and dollars and cents, the position of a spaceship on the screen, the height and width of a web browser window, the coordinates of a device using geolocation, the amount of milliseconds we've been playing an MP3 song. Even colors are represented with numeric ranges of red, green, and blue, all numbers. Now, unlike many programming languages you'll come across, where you need to be very conscious of what type of number you have, integer, floating point, positive, negative. Is it a big number? Is it a small number? JavaScript, instead, has a very human approach to numbers. They're all just considered numbers. So let's see how to work with them. So I have an empty file here set up to write some JavaScript in. And let's start off this way. var a. Now, this statement tells JavaScript, create a variable and call it a. And when this line of code is executed, the value of this variable is undefined. So on the next statement, I will set that variable to the number 5. Now, when you're brand new to programming, lines like a equals 5 and b equals 10 can look a little weird, particularly if the last time you saw anything like this was equations in school. But remember, when you see the equal sign here, this is not a polite description. This is a command. This is an instruction. This is saying, take the value 5 and put it in the variable called a. I don't care what a was before, but after this line of code is executed, it will have the value 5. And this is what the equal sign does. It assigns a value, and that's why it's formally called the assignment operator. Now notice that there are no quotes around the number 5. The number 5 here is referred to as a numeric literal. It represents the fixed value 5. The variable part of this line can change as our program runs, but a literal does not. 5 always means 5. What if we want to change this? What if we want 1,000,000? Well, I'll just say a equals 1,000,000. We don't use commas in it. We just use the number itself. And while in other programming languages we have to be very conscious if values are integers, meaning whole numbers, JavaScript doesn't care. If we want something after the decimal point, we just type that in. Numbers are regarded as positive by default, but they can be negative as well. If I want to make a negative number, I just put a minus sign in front of it, in this case, negative 500. So we have 5 statements so far. I'm going to add a 6th. I'm going to use alert again, and in parentheses, just put a. Now notice that I'm not using quotes here. I don't want to write out the letter a as an alert dialog box. I want to write out the value of the variable a, which is what this is going to do. So I'm going to save this, and I already have a folder set up where I can just run this JavaScript by opening the HTML page. So I open that up, and we get one dialog box with negative 500 in it. That's what we should expect. What's happening is we're opening up. Our program runs, our code runs. We create the variable. We change it to 5. We change it to 1,000,000. We change it to 123.654. We change it to negative 500, and then we write it out. Simple instructions created and executed one after the other. But this is how we can start to work with number variables in JavaScript. Now, as one final note, understand there's a very big difference between creating a variable like this, var b equals 123, and creating a variable like this, var c equals, similar looking value but inside quotes. Well, the first one here, var b, is a number, 123. The second one, var c, is a string, not the number 123, but the digits 1, 2, 3. And sometimes that's a pretty big difference in behavior. So let's talk about strings next.